Mirai Nikki, but still, it has an iconic feel and look to it. Wait, can you guys hold on for a second? Stuck in your wonderland. I'm not mad, I'm just disappointed. Alright, boys and girls, some of you might have heard an adult say this to you before. I'm not mad, I'm disappointed. That's a line chill parents say to their misbehaving children, and man is Papa Berry disappointed. I'm pretty disappointed, but not mad. Right now, I have a decent amount of responsibilities I have to do right now. A new chapter in life, you could say. Employment, having a boss, debt. That's a big one. Ooh, that's a big one. University. Still, I feel that's something I can control. You know, that's just fine with me. I can deal with that. The thing that really makes me mad, or in this case, disappointed, are things I can't control. I like rewatching some of my favorite animes whenever I feel fatigued, stressed, down, or depressed, whatever you want to call it. It makes me feel and remember a better time in life. A time when things were simple, but more often than not, the older you get, the harder it is to get back to that memory, the harder it is to get a season 2 of your favorite old anime. The ones that never get a season 2 for the dumbest of reasons, you know? Today we'll talk about an old cult classic of an anime that people swear by, an anime that didn't get attention in the time it came out, but over the years has cultivated an actual real following. Today we'll talk about why DEADMAN WONDERLAND isn't getting a season 2. I've been wanting to talk about this video for however long I made my Real Wars video. Reason being, in that video I kind of hint at and why this anime never got a season 2. But before we begin, let me introduce myself. If this is the first time you've heard me before, I'm Barry, and I make anime reviews and talk about why certain animes don't get season 2s, whether it's a money reason, a personal reason, as well as talking about the anime industry the best I can. And if that's something you like, then please subscribe to my YouTube channel and turn on notifications. After all, it's free. As he's having a conversation with his friends about visiting an amusement park called DEADMAN WONDERLAND, a blood-stained dark being attacks his class, leaving his class massacred in the process, leaving him as the lone survivor. When he wakes up, he's charged with the murder of all of his classmates after the authorities can't find anything, which as an adult is crazy. You're telling me he really never had a fair shot of a trial? Like say in the US, or I would assume any other most tier 1 countries, he would at least have a chance. But being in Japan, if you are put in a courtroom, you have a 99% chance of being charged. That's with or without evidence. Look it up. Or just ask your neighborhood foreigner, they'll tell you. But in the court, there's no way he wins after seeing this footage of him talking to lawyer and saying this kind of stuff, which was faked by the lawyer, of course.
Figured if I'm gonna do any, I might as well do them all. Kinda like passing out handmade birthday party invitations. Yeah, the weapon. Come on. Thought we'd been through this already. When I hear them say innocent, I'll show you where it's hidden. Huh. Call it my God-given right for being the cleverest guy in the room.
Like, he was already going to be guilty based on the laws, but this just made it a definite guilty verdict, with no one giving him any sympathy. Anyways, as his punishment, he's being sent to DEADMAN WONDERLAND, which is an amusement park that makes prisoners compete in death games for the public, which is able to force inmates to compete because of these death collars they have on them that will kill them, obviously. After going too long without having their antidote, they die. By the way, his lawyer is actually the owner of the park. Obviously, anyone would hate the situation, a flawed justice system, every man for themselves mentality, and did she just cut that man up like some fresh sashimi? But things get slightly better when he meets this mysterious girl named Shiro, and after he is getting stomped out on his first day, he discovers he has some sort of power, realizing that there are scarier things in this park other than the inmates. I think what sticks out in people's mind is the image of a prison competing in a death games, like say a game show. The people watching think it's fake, so they laugh as people die, and their explanation to even if it wasn't fake is they're criminals, so they write it off. But every justice system is flawed, so there are innocent people or low offending criminals competing in these death games, as well as it just being inhumane all to itself. I also like how Shiro's seemingly random actions had an actual meaning and helped Ganta take a step forward in terms of developing and or just staying alive. Ganta as a character seems like the worst version of Midoriya, meaning he cries a lot, but he's the only anime character to say this.
I am not You think I'm scared of some loudmouth dickwad like you after the shit I've seen? So if you're going to kill me, stop wasting my damn time and do it. Because while I'm breathing, this place and its rules can suck my dick!
Ganta, albeit physically weak as a character, has great internal dialogue. Shout out to the dub team. What I really like about this anime is how you can actually tell there are parts from other animes in the anime, whether that's animes that came before it that it took inspiration from, or animes that came up during the time it was being released. I can obviously tell there are some different parts of other animes in this anime, like Elden Live, Higurashi, Hellsing, a little bit of Black Lagoon, Mirai Nikki, but still, it has an iconic feel and look to it. Wait, can you guys hold on for a second? Stuck in your wonderland. Like, this intro just is something I can't see anywhere else. Low-key, the reason I wanted to make this video. Low-key, the reason I want a season 2. Now, let's talk about something that no anime fan likes to talk about, being the Blu-ray sales. Generally, the Blu-ray sales make or break your favorite anime, and if it gets a season 2. Sure, this anime still holds up after, being gone for like 7 years in quality, but Blu-ray sales play more of a role in animes than fans think. The Blu-ray sales kind of show the company its potential as an anime, and if it bombs, say, in the anime sales, it's probably not going to be able to stick around. The only way it's going to probably stick around is if it has other factors that really show, hey, this one has a lot of potential for sales. For example, Fire Force bombed in Blu-ray sales, but they did well in other factors, so they got a season 2. So, how good or how poorly did this anime do? So, in 2011, there were a total of 88 animes that came out and posted sales. So, notable ones that year include Mirai Nikki, Mayo Chiki, Steins Gate, Persona 4, Is This a Zombie of the Dead, Gintama, Freezing, Dog Days, Anohana, Fate Zero, Infinite Stratos, and a big hitter in Madoka Magica. Okay, out of all the years I've covered for these videos, this one is the hardest. And if you remember some of my other past videos, I said in a past video that this one was a normal year, but I was wrong. This year was the toughest year I've seen. This is the release year of Gintama and Steins Gate, some of the highest rated animes in the entire community. And I mean, of all time. The best season of Fate was out this year as well, being Fate Zero. And albeit Persona 4 and Infinite Stratos, they kind of suck, have a crazy fan base, so they have monstrous numbers to back up the Blu-ray sales, with the rest of the animes that I've mentioned having still solid, and if not above average, sales. So, who had the best sales that year? So, in 4th place was Persona 4, selling 43,946 copies in the fall of 2011. And in 3rd place was Anohana, selling 46,811 copies in the spring of 2011. And in 2nd place was Fate Zero. And lastly, the big hitter, who sold the #1 copies of 2011 and one of the biggest sales I've ever seen, being Madoka Magica, selling 80,089 copies that year. So where did DEADMAN WONDERLAND finish? It had the misfortune of being one of the 10 animes out of 88 animes to sell 0 copies. Well, mostly. You see, it finished the first year selling 293 copies, and then later finished with 551 copies as a total, but for the majority of the year, it was selling 0 copies. So now you can see the problem, say, a executive or producer would have of trying to give this anime a season 2. It has very low potential of actually getting sales. So this next part can be a bit tricky to really understand, and I apologize. Oh, really, right now? And with that being said, we're going to try and get a little more detail to, the reasonings. So this next part can be a little bit tricky and really hard to understand, and I apologize now for that if you get confused. There's just a lot of information here, and I found it just really good, so that's why I'm just going to include it here. So we're going to be talking about the studios, the producers, and just kind of on paper problems of, making a season 2. Because most people just want to look at one part of this and be like, oh, I want to blame that person, when really there's a lot of different parts in this. So quick shout out to the websites that did help me at the time, being Trinket, On their website, they give me the first half of what I was missing here, but they did make a mistake, and I think the author who made the piece understands that now, but maybe they didn't, so I'm just going to explain here, as well as the second website I used to help out being Amino, and the user there, Bearbaka. This is like the second time I found some credible stuff on Amino, so it's kind of crazy to use something from Amino, but yeah, I am. But yeah, there was an actual mistake as well with what Bearbaka said, but for the most part was pretty spot on. So we're gonna mention all that stuff right now. Okay, so let's first talk about the studios. A lot, and I mean a lot, of anime fans think their favorite studios own their favorite animes, which is rarely, and I mean rarely, the case. I talk all about that kind of stuff in these videos, especially this one, but to just give you a summary of those videos, studios are the hired help to, just make the anime. Producers are the ones that actually own the anime. DEADMAN was made by Jinsei Kataoka, which was published by Kodokawa Shoten. Try to remember that name because it's going to pop up later. Tokyo Pop, then Viz Media, licensed the English copies of the anime. The anime aired in 2011, pulling from the first 21 chapters. Funimation and Adult Swim were then licensed to do the English copies of the anime. Kodokawa Shoten contracted Manga before this to animate the anime so they can give it to Funimation and Adult Swim. Manga was an amazing studio with some of my favorite animes on the roster: Samurai Champloo, The World Only God Knows 1 and 2, Gangsta, but it also had some major flops on there. Manga was owned by Shinshio Kobayashi and Takashi Koshiyama. They made the business as a Kabushiki Ginsha, which is a joint company in English. So this means these two were part owners of the company with shareholders, which in this case I'm guessing was Sunrise or Kodokawa Shoten as the shareholders. Could be both of them or neither. The president was Shinjiro. If you notice, Kodokawa Shoten is the company that also publishes the manga, who is also a producer of this anime, which is rare, but makes this a special case, like I said. Now, what people point to as the big reason why this anime isn't getting a season 2 is because Manglobe, the company, went bankrupt in 2015 and is in debt about 350 million yen, which translates to $3,298,627.50 in US dollars, which sucks, I know, but it's not the reason why DEADMAN is not getting a season 2. Manga went bankrupt of their own accord in 2015. The anime was made in 2011. Manga never owned the anime. The person who owns the anime is Kodokawa Shoten. They own the anime. And have Kodokawa Shoten gone out of business? No. The article was partly wrong because they figured that Manglobe owned the anime, 1, and they also assumed, 2, that the workers are now not employed because of this, when they're actually working at a new studio known as Geno Studio, which was Manglobe previously, but they're now Geno Studio. This is the same studio that works on Golden Kamuya. So yeah, that's 2 things wrong in this article already. Like I said, they did mention other good stuff and they tried, so I'm not even gonna try and, on to the second part, being the producers. There are 4 producers that own part of this anime. We'll be starting from the majority owner to the least likely majority owner. If you watch these 2 videos, you know why I say that like that. It's complicated. Kodokawa Shoten, Kodokawa Pictures, Japan, Clockwork, and the hardest one to find, AMG Music, which has also the worst name. If not for Anime News Network, I would have never found them. So Kodokawa owns 2 out of 4 producers here. Now looking at this, I know that the author nor the studio have anything to do with the production decisions, which means they don't own it. And while also looking at the production side, I know that they're not also bankrupt like the studio was. Reasoning being they simply were not hindered from making other animes during this time, and they would also have $3 million to pay off the debt. So this will be the last point I explain, is that Funimation has licensed the stream of the anime. That means the licenses that they got are still up and they are still running, and they're still giving money back to Kodokawa for having said license. Which makes me ask, could you buy the rights to the anime? Giving me the answer of yes, but you have to negotiate like always. The reason I say that is because I saw something about Netflix. So Netflix, like any other company, can buy the rights to make whatever they want out of this anime, but it simply would not be the same. The anime isn't really worth the trouble. Kodowa thinks that for itself, and it thinks, hey, the best we can get out of this anime is making it a rerun type of anime and keep giving out the licenses so other stream platforms can have their consumers watch the anime and we make money that way, rather than making, say, a season 2, because we saw that probably wouldn't make us as much money as doing it this way. So the possibilities are extremely low. With the success rate of you making the anime and shipping it back out the same way you did last time, very low of a success rate as well. Now let's talk about the manga versus the anime. Did they skip out of content that compromises the manga? This is what people use to warrant not watching the anime or supporting it. Something people like to say to make themselves seem like they control the outcome of the series. So in the manga, Ganta puts up more of a fight than he would in the actual anime, and I mean all around. But this is where I debunk the theory that they skip on so much content that they couldn't possibly make a season 2, and left out so much content and so many characters that they couldn't possibly make a season 2. Which is 100% wrong, and is something people assume is the problem. DEADMAN WONDERLAND only skipped out on 2 characters with speaking roles. The first one only gave Ganta a sandwich and ends up getting her arm broken. Her scene was added to Yo's character. She was in a total of 3 chapters, but wasn't making any real appearances longer than a couple of scenes. The second is Chaplain Tsukagawa, who shows up after Ganta's first fight in G-Block, and after Ganta gets injured, is trying to nurse him back to health. This is the trainee character, which is, I guess, progressive in 2011. He makes another appearance later, but after this, he's just a season 2 character. So the anime didn't skip out on any content to compromise it so they couldn't make a season 2. So this idea of, oh, they skipped out on so many characters and so much content, they can't possibly make a season 2, they wouldn't have the characters and wouldn't have the voice acting. Any of that, no, cut it out. That was never an issue. You can read all 21 chapters for yourself and you'll find the same thing. It's not the problem. Now I'm going to talk about individual points in the manga and the anime. I'll first start off with the Scar group, or the Scar Chain group. This is the group of dead men who were trying to leak out what was going on in the amusement park to the outside world, giving Ganta a reason to try and escape or get help, which is a very reasonable plan to do, and it makes sense. But they're just scared dead men who wanted to have a leader to save them. The thing is, they're not willing to go all out and destroy the park itself, which really holds them back and gets most of them actually killed. This part was very true in both the manga and the anime. I think it was actually a good point to also mention for character development for Ganta, realizing, hey, I don't need to try and look for a leader. I need to try and be my own leader and try and find my own battles and grow a little bit more as a character. Ganta as a character is very similar to, I want to say, Yuki from Future Diaries. And what I mean by that is he's a character that internalizes everything that happens up to that point. He's weak in confrontation and always mad about the situation that their female counterparts are putting themselves into. But when things get tough, also wanting that person to come back and save them. The difference is that Yuki is using Yuno the entire time up to even the final moments, thinking he's changed, as where Ganta has a semi-mentor to beat that development out of him, pushing him to face his challenges even though he doesn't do anything until the final attack. In the manga, he puts up most or more of a fight, fighting more all around than he would be in the anime. But this also is where I'm trying to debunk the theory that they skipped out on content and they left out so many characters up to this point, which, like I said, is 100% just wrong and something people are assuming was the problem. What are my final thoughts on the anime? I think from an iconic look standpoint and feel to the world, it's a 3 out of 5 or a 4 out of 5. But thinking about how little I get, I almost want to put it at a 2.8. And I do think it's better than what people originally rated as, especially the Japanese and international audience at the time, who did not rate this anime high at all. I think it's more of an acquired taste that after a period of time just gets better. But I do think from how little action I get in the 12 episodes, it kind of just does piss me off. Like, the series animation and pacing and quality is really good already, and I don't know if it's actually going to go up if a new studio does, try and animate a second season. I'm actually scared if that did happen, the quality, the pacing, everything will just go down because they'll take the last season as a failure, so they'll try and do all sorts of different things, like little small things to try and make it better and change what the first season brought us. So I think it might actually get worse if a new studio did bring it on. I do think it would do better in copies and how much it would sell. I don't think there's no way they would be selling 0 copies for the majority of the time. I do think it could at least sell a couple thousand to start off and then end off of maybe say 2K. I think that's pretty fair given that it only sold like 0 to 500 copies the last time.